only on Core TV News.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election,
How women, being so powerful, yet have few grounds in this.
Cross side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
Core TV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to Core TV Primetime News. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. In our major stories, frontline businessman and Islamic religious leader Abdulaziz Arishekola Alao dies at the age of 69. Also in this program, Nigeria Police announced plans to close all borders in Ekiti State by 6 p.m. on Thursday ahead weekend governorship poll. APC raises alarm over alleged plot by PDP to rig Saturday's Ekiti governorship election. And outside Nigeria, British Prime Minister David Cameron vows to fight to the bitter end to stop Jean-Claude Juncker becoming the next head of the European Commission.
And in business news tonight, new taxation law in United States of America sends shockwaves to Nigerian banks and businesses.
And in sports, Netherlands beats Australia to go top of Group B at the ongoing FIFA World Cup.
Welcome once again, and now the details. Prominent businessman and Islamic leader Abdulaziz Arishekola Alao has passed on at the age of 69. The eldest daughter of the deceased, Khadija, confirmed the death of Alao, who is the Deputy President General of the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs and the Are Muslim of Yoruba land. Core TV News gathered that Alao died in his London home, where he had been since last week Thursday. The Deputy President of the Supreme Council for Islamic Nigeria did not show any sign of ill health, although he was said to have embarked on the journey on medical grounds. President General SCIA and Sultan of Sokoto Sa'ad Abubakar was said to have flown to London and due to return with Arishekola's corpse for burial on Thursday. Some of the early callers at the house included the Oyo State Governor Abiola Ajimobi and his wife Florence, Head of Service in the state Tajuddin Aremu, Chairman of First Bank Ajibola Afonja, Chief Imam of Ibadan Sheikh Suara Haruna, among other sympathizers and government officials. Ajimobi described the death of Alao as tragic, disheartening, and a big blow to the entire nation. The Nigeria Police have expressed readiness to ensure the safety of lives and property during and after the election. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Abubakar, while speaking in Ado Ekiti ahead Saturday governorship vote in the state, warns troublemakers to stay clear of Ekiti. He reveals that the state borders will be closed at 6 p.m. on Thursday. Rashid has more in this report.
First-time visitors to Ado Ekiti and every other part of the state are likely to feel they are in a war zone. The whole of Ado Metropolis and Ekiti indeed are filled with heavy presence of policemen and soldiers, including their warlike hardwares. Beyond this, the Inspector General of Police hinted that the police will not take it lightly with anyone ready to foment trouble.
All troublemakers that were prepared for this election, and we shall not and will not tolerate anybody, no matter how high think he is, impostor. If you do so, you meet the consequences of your action.
While announcing the closure of all borders in the state by 16:00 hours Thursday, the Inspector General warns those who has nothing to do in Ekiti to leave or face the music.
Today is Wednesday, and we are 3 days to this election. If you are not from Ekiti State and you have nothing to do this election, I want to warn, today should be your last day in this state. If by then we are here, we shall get you arrested.
He also confirmed the arrest of some people with already thumb-printed ballot boxes in the state and dismissed the prayer of the APC chairman in Ekiti on the development.
And I commend the State Security Service because we learned that we know those people who are completing papers. We want to know, we want these people paraded.
So we have to allow them to conclude that investigation first. We cannot compare that investigation.
3407,
our 24-hour news station. Glad to have you back. With one corruption charges instituted against Mohamed Abacha, son of the late head of state, General Sani Abacha. Attorney General of the Federation, Mohamed Adoke, withdrew the 446.3 charge, which were filed in February 2014. The prosecution had accused Abacha of unlawfully receiving the fund that was allegedly stolen from government coffers between 1995 and 1998. Adoke, acting for the federal government, asked Justice Mavan Kolo of the Abuja High Court on the ground that fresh facts have emerged. Private prosecuting counsel Dan Wellum instruction and Justice Kolo subsequently struck out the charges. The federal government says the country overshot its investment projection by over 100% between 2010 and 2013. Information Minister Labaran Mako told State House correspondents after his week's Federal Executive Council meeting that investment inflow in the 3-year period exceeded 28 trillion naira. Mako also reviewed the meeting was devoted to a national implementation plan for Vision 2020.
We proposed or targeted that we needed 13 trillion naira investment by the private sector to be able to
The savior of the world again.
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Thanks, browsing. Indeed, how are the mighty fallen? We only can hope that the Super Eagles of Nigeria will do us proud in their next match. Thanks for being there. For more information on our news and other programs, you can visit us on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CoreTVNews. You can also follow us on our Twitter handle at CoreTVNewsNG, as well as on YouTube at youtube.com/CoreTV_and news. Outside Nigeria now, British Prime Minister David Cameron has vowed to fight to the bitter end to stop Jean-Claude Juncker becoming the next head of the European Commission. Juncker is the candidate backed by the European People's Party, the largest group in the European Parliament, as well as by German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Cameron strongly opposes his candidacy, saying he's a federalist who will not adopt the reforms that London says are indeed needed to put the 28-member bloc back on track. Cameron's words were the latest charge in his lengthy battle to stop Juncker from taking the job.
Look, there's an important principle at stake here, which is that the accountable elected members of the European Council, the elected heads of state, elected heads of government, should be the ones who propose who runs the European Commission. It's a very important principle, and I will go on putting forward that principle and opposing this process of having someone put on us by the European Parliament through a fairly strange set of elections. I'll go on opposing that right up to the end. There is absolutely no question of changing my view about that. Now, in many ways, the question is not for me. I've made clear my view. I think Europe needs reform, but I don't think it needs an effective change in the way Europe works to suddenly decide the European Commission is elected through this process of the European Parliament. So my view is very clear. I think it's for others to make their view clear. If you are for reform, then you need to stand up and fight for reform. If you are against transferring power from the European Council to the European Parliament, if you're against that, you have to stand up and say so. I'm very clear, it'd be completely wrong, because this is an issue of principle, to suddenly turn around and say, well, it's all right for this election to lead to a particular person to run the European Commission. I just think that's wrong, and I will go on thinking it's wrong right up until the end. Clear answer, I think you'll find that one.
European leaders are expected to hold talks on the European Commission leadership at the European Council meeting on June 26 and June 27 in Brussels. Iraq has asked the United States to carry out airstrikes on Sunni jihadists who attacked the country's main oil refinery and seized more territory in the north. The appeal came as fighters from the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant were pressing a week-long offensive that has brought them close to the capital, and as Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki pledging to face down terrorism. The United States spent millions of dollars over several years training and arming a new Iraqi army after disbanding the Sunni-led force created by the late dictator Saddam Hussein. Washington has already deployed an aircraft carrier to the Gulf and sent Marines to bolster security at its embassy in Baghdad. President Barack Obama has insisted a return to combat in Iraq for U.S. soldiers and is not on the cards. However, Secretary of State John Kerry has said drone strikes could be used. To end QTV Primetime News, a quick reminder of our top stories. Frontline businessman and Islamic religious leader Abdulaziz Arishekola has died at the age of 69. We also told you Nigeria police announced plans to close all borders in Ekiti State by 6 p.m. on Thursday ahead weekend governorship poll. And that's been the show. Thanks for watching. On behalf of the crew member, I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.
Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan
People's Democratic Party has
of the
called the Nigerians in response. Well, in what appears to be a water war between the APC and the ruling party, PDP, ahead of the 2014 gubernatorial election coming up this Saturday, just barely less than 72 hours rather to the election. Water wars are beginning to ensue between the PDP and the APC in the state. And one of them is that the newly inaugurated chairman of the opposition party or Progressive Congress, John Oyegun, has warned PDP to desist or to stay clear of Ekiti in this governorship election that is coming up this Saturday. And of course, and also to reply the same statement, in reply to the statement of John Oyegun, who is now the chairman of the opposition party, he says it's all of these is just a gimmick ahead of the election. These are some of the news breaking earlier today, and of course we're going to be reading them or telling you who and what is happening, which one might make headlines tomorrow. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, the episode of the News Judgment. I am Frank Omalape. We're broadcasting live from our studios here in Lagos, Nigeria. But let's begin now with this story. Just less than 72 hours to the governorship election in Ekiti State. Well, reports reaching us says that the police authorities have at least arrested 2 suspects, and they were caught with the ballot paper there. And this one says that 8 arrested with fake ballot papers in Ekiti Hotel. Now, the police, according to the report, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Bakar, confirmed this in West State had the stakeholders meeting held in Ado Ekiti. 4 political parties were responding. Bakar, according to this report, says they made an arrest and they are still being interrogated by the state security agents. But the investigation is not yet concluded, according to the IG. If the allegation is right, they will be charged to court. That's what is coming from the IG himself. But of course, the FIME campaign organization has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to explain the role of its officials in the third printed ballot paper seats from the suspect. But we never know if INEC will be able to respond and justify its image there. But however, in another development, the coordinator of the Director of Security Service said, contrary to report, they said that the state security did not arrest any person in the state when the journalists were asking her question, that's Marilyn Oga, and said, we didn't arrest anybody. Who do we believe? The police says we have arrested about 8 persons with fake ballot papers in Ekiti Hotel. And the DSS say, no, we have not made any arrest. Well, what do we believe? But however, according to this story, well, from the angle of news judgment, let's look at how it might turn out tomorrow, either on the first page or the second page. But the story is very important ahead of the June 21 governorship election that is upcoming, just less than 72 hours from now. All right, let's move away from that quickly to the next story breaking here. Stay clear of Ekiti. Groups 1 of Banikoro, Kashamu. That's, of course, another news breaking here. Well, the Oodua Nationalist Coalition has asked the Minister of State for Defense, Musliu Obanikoro, and the People's Party's chief, Mr. Buruji Kashamu, to stay clear of Ekiti. Well, the Pan-Yoruba group also called for the arrest of the Director General of Ayofayoshi campaign organization by Dikpo, Mr. Dikpo Ani Sulowo, in which hotel several ballots, according to this report, papers were allegedly found and seized by security operatives. Well, we'll see how that turned out. Quite a lot of drama really happening before the election, and who knows, a whole lot of things as expected by political watchers, as predicted by political watchers. We're still going to see a lot of things happening, surprises though, in times of election like these. And then, of course, that story will make the headlines tomorrow as far as the Ekiti election is concerned. Well, of course, the people of Ekiti will have to decide who becomes the next governor of the state. Now, let's move away from that now to the next breaking news here. Still on Ekiti 2014, learn from history. APC warns Jonathan. That's what this report is talking about. Of course, like I said earlier, that the newly inaugurated national chairman of the party, Chief John Oyegun, issued a warning on behalf of the APC in his inaugural address during the inauguration of the party's national executive. This is his first inaugural speech since he was installed as the chairman of the party. And of course, he's warning warning Jonathan, the ruling PDP party, to desist or to learn from history so as to make the election in Ekiti free and fair, of course, of violence and malpractices. But in response to this as well, the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Chief Olusa Metu, dismissed APC allegations against the PDP. Well, APC has alleged that the PDP is planning to rig the coming election. But why PDP has responded in that respect following the statement from the APC chieftain there? Well, of course, Chairman, I beg your pardon. And of course, this from the angle of news judgment, this will make also a headlines tomorrow still about Ekiti. Now, detail will be talked in the news paper pages there. But now let's move away quickly from that now. Well, And this one is on stolen money. Falana, others condemn theft charge withdrawal against Abacha. Well, Lagos lawyer, we know him to be one of a very strong senior advocate of Nigeria, among other lawyers and civil societies. On Wednesday, condemned the withdrawal of over 400 billion theft charges against Mohammed Abacha, a son of the late head of state, General Sani Abacha. Well, the prosecution on Wednesday withdrew the case, which was before High Court of the Federal Capital Territory in Zone 2 in Abuja, on the instruction of the Attorney General of the Federation, the Minister of Justice, Mohammed Adoke. Well, that's what the report says. Well, we will know, of course, we have someone like Falana who has come up to speak against it, to condemn the withdrawal of the charges against Mohammed Abacha, the late head of state son. And we don't know yet what might come out of it, whether that case will still be prosecuted or they will be able to push against against Mohammed Abacha there. But we see the story making headlines tomorrow. Well, that's what the report is talking about. Now let's move away from that now to another dramatic story on Wednesday. Members of Adamawa State House of Assembly have leveled 26 allegations of gross misconduct against Governor Murtala Nyako and his deputy, Mr. Bala Ngelare. So the Speaker of the Assembly, Amadu Fituri, had on Wednesday directed the clerk of the House to serve the governor and his deputy with an impeachment notice. Well, according to this report, some of the allegations against Nyako included diversion of about 2.3 billion naira workers' salary for September and October 2011. And of course, the illegal deductions and diversion of 142 million emolument of workers in May 2014. These are some of the allegations, among others, leveled against the governor of Adamawa State. And the governor was also alleged to have squandered over 4.8 billion and 7.1 billion in 2012 and 2013 respectively. Well, the governor is set to react to this, but we follow on this story. We will begin to witness, or we expect some reactions from the governor there to clarify whether he's guilty or all of these allegations, if they are actually true as alleged by the State Assembly. Well, and of course, the impeachment, if you ask, let's follow through how this might end up. As the invert on food, we'll continue to follow the story. But if you ask me, this might take a very big leading story, one of the leading story tomorrow in the newspaper. You are still watching News Judgment. We'll take a short break. When we come back, of course, over 486 northerners that were arrested in the southeast, specifically in Abia. A whole lot of people have come out to condemn it. And then one of the groups that have come out to condemn is Iowa Consultative Forum, and of course the Sultan of Sokoto as well, and Haji Saad Abubakar also have come out to condemn the act as well. We'll give you all the details when we come out from this short break. Stay with us.
Core TV News presents a platform with presence in over 30 states of the Federation. Be sure to be had. For live coverage of events, we have the capacity to deliver from anywhere in Nigeria and beyond. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733, 014-533-407.
Our 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back on News Judgment. We're broadcasting live from our studios here in Lagos, Nigeria. And we're talking news headlines, especially those breaking news earlier today and early this evening. Well, one of them, as we continue, the Jamaatul Nasrul Islam on Wednesday condemned the arrest of over 486 northerners in Abia by security operatives, alleging that they were members of the violent Islamic sect Boko Haram. Well, you remember, of course, how a bomb attack was foiled in Owerri, Imo State, of course, in a branch of a church worldwide called Winners Chapel on Sunday, early morning Sunday. And of course, some Southeast governors have come out to speak and condemn the act. And of course, some of them say we cannot allow Boko Haram to get to the southeast. But let's wait, of course, in reactions to that and following that, the follow-up story is the fact that we have over 486 northerners in Abia being arrested. And the Sultan of Sokoto have also condemned the act. Not only the Sultan of Sokoto or Jama'atu Nasrul Islam led by Alhaji Saad Abubakar there, but other people have also, condemned it. So one of them is Arewa Consulted. But before we get to that, let's move away from that quickly. We will see also that, as this might generate a lot of reactions tomorrow in the dailies. Well, 486 suspects arrested in Abia are travelers, according to the director of the National Information Center, Michael Mary. He was also speaking to journalists on Wednesday, and he said they were all travelers. We arrested them, but they were all travelers. And Omeri disclosed this at a joint news conference organized by, the center in Abuja. But the coordinator said the arrest of the travelers was not targeted at any group of persons or individual, but done in view of the general security situation in the country. Likewise, moving away from that, but Arewa Consultative Forum, the Pan-Northern Socio-Political Organization, have condemned it as they faulted the arrest, and they say nobody noted that the arrest and subsequent degradation of northern traders suspected to be members of the outlaw Boko Haram said negated the spirit of oneness and the violence of right and of Nigerians in their own country. That's what they are saying. And we believe that this also will make a whole lot of headlines as we see reactions being already trailing the arrest of these suspected Islamic sect or travelers, so-called, as the information center led by Michael Mary has put it. So all of these we'll see making headlines tomorrow in the dailies. Now let's quickly move away from that now to the next one. Well, and a follow-up story. You remember we told you about 3 days ago that over 15 people were killed in the intertribal clash in the Wukari local government area in Taraba State. And the following day, the police came out and said not less than 1,565 houses were razed down, and of course 2,000 people were affected in that clash since 2012 till date. And of course, we still have a whole lot of people. But now the story is that the 40 villagers fleeing Taraba violence drowned in boat accident. But that's still pathetic, very saddening. Now, people who are living in their own community, trying to run away from their own community to another, we see they're being affected, and some of them lost their life. Very pathetic there. We hope that the government will be able to do something in that area as soon as possible in terms of the security of lives and property in that state. Well, this also will make headlines tomorrow as well. Let's move away from that quickly. Well, INEC synthesizes Castina electorate against voter apathy. And then in the follow-up to that story, Jonathan unveils Centenary City come June 24. According to the information Minister Labra Mako, he said that the president will perform the groundbreaking of the Nigerian Centenary City project on June 24. And then Mako, who also said, he briefing newsmen on the outcome of the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting, added that the city was in commemoration of the country's centenary celebration. So we're going to have it there along Abuja Road, where the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator Ayim Pius, formally informed the Council that the plan of Mr. President to unveil the centenary city in Abuja is in commemoration of Nigeria's 100 years, and it's coming to fruition on the 24th of June. That's what the minister is talking about. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation is talking about. Now let's move away from that now. Well, the former governor of Sokoto State, Alhaji Atahiru Bahafara, on Wednesday called for an urgent review of the manifesto of the People's Democratic Party. Well, Bahafara will make the call in Sokoto at the news briefing. Said the current manifesto of the party, which was formulated in 1998, was obsolete and due for review. Sometimes some political watchers actually do ask questions that do Nigerian political or political parties, do they have ideology? Maybe this ideology, they are saying that, okay, it's actually not in line. Some of the political parties' ideologies are not in line with the manifestos. Maybe they are trying to say, according to this governor, he's trying to say, oh, maybe the PDP has to visit its manifesto to align it with its ideology, as the case may be. Well, according to him, the review is to ensure that the manifesto of the party captures some emerging challenges which were not envisaged in 1998. We hope to see how they will be able to, touch on their manifestos, to review it, to update it, and see how that goes. This also will make also take a lead in a political page as well. Now let's move away quickly from that now. Tinubu appointed his cronies to APC ESCO. Who is saying that? Tom Ikemi. And of course, they are strange pioneer members of the All Progressive Congress. Tom Ikemi has attributed his problems with the party to the tyrannical approach to leadership of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Well, this is actually party politics, and we hope that maybe they will be able to come in between themselves, or rather come together to actually begin to see how they can resolve these party internal crises, really, that we are beginning to see being, exposed in the newspapers. Well, we hope to follow up and see how they'll be able to resolve these internal crises. Well, Tom Ikemi, of course, you remember Tom Ikemi. We also have Silva Timbre as well, former governor of Bayelsa State, and of course John Oyego, were three contenders for the race when we talk about the position of the chairman of the All Progressive Congress. And he's actually accusing Bola Ahmed Tinubu and say, okay, you see, his tyrannical approach is actually killing the party. And well, maybe we need to hear the side of the APC chieftain Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his own angle of the story, and see what is wrong and why is there a crisis in the party. Well, very political, a very interesting story. We'll see these also making headlines tomorrow in the dailies. Well, before we go, finally, Nigeria attracts 28 trillion naira private investment in 4 years, according to government, and this is about business news. We found all of these on the pages of business segment of the newspaper as tomorrow. Well, thank you very much. This is how much we can go today on the program News Judgment. Many thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. Let's do it again tomorrow. Bye.
This Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan.
Democratic Party
All Progressive Congress